Hi, my name is Deborah Abrams, and I'm sorry that we couldn't meet up. I know it's hard when it's long distance, but I did want to give you some pointers on developing and fostering an effective learning community and what my favorite tools are for doing that. First and foremost, I think it's essential to have bonds right from the beginning of a class. One of my favorite tools for fostering an online learning community is introductions, of course, and making sure that the way your course curriculum is developed is really inclusive of different activities to get class members to know each other. I don't think there necessarily has to be a limit to icebreakers even throughout the course so that that's continuously being fostered. The discussion board is a phenomenal tool to use initially to start that first introduction and have people go in and even answering questions that might seem kind of silly, but that give some additional insight into what kind of person they are, what kind of learner they are. If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? I had talked about that in my last paper. And really just some insight into who they are, not just why they're in school and what they want to accomplish in school, but what got them to this point and really what their goals are for the long term and who they are as a person, family, hobbies, other things that are important to them. Um, and then making sure that you're integrating active participation in that as well, so that people really have to kind of go through and read other people's introductions to get to know each other. And that's one of my favorite tools, those initial introductions. And then be creative throughout the course and use that discussion forum to get your students to really be engaged and interact openly with each other. Another great tool that I love that really fosters collaboration and a community environment is teamwork. Even if you're pairing people up, that's great. Teams of maybe up to 3 or 4, I wouldn't say more than that, but giving them fun things to do that directly relate to the curriculum in the class. Like we had done in our class with our final project and our meme project. And maybe even give them options to vote on different activities that they can do relating to the coursework that's presented at the time, because then they're working collaboratively right from the get-go to be able to give their input and feel like, they're an active participant in the decision making in the class, I think is very important. So some, students may fight teamwork a little bit. I know it was hard for me initially, but once I got used to it, particularly in this environment, these students benefit so much from their interaction with each other and then your input throughout it. So it allows them to be self-directed, but your input is also so important, within the course of that. So you've got your discussion board, which is just an invaluable tool that's, available in whatever modality you're going to be teaching in. It's in Canvas, it's in Blackboard. Google Docs would probably be my third favorite tool that I learned in this class that allows students to work collaboratively together really in synchronous environment. Sometimes it's got to be asynchronous, but it ends up actually being synchronous, which is really cool. A lot of the assignments that I completed, I would be in there actually adding something to a Google Doc and turn around and see somebody else typing at the same time. And I thought that was the coolest thing. So those are tools that I think are invaluable. If you're able to integrate Adobe Connect into your classroom and maybe post surveys on what meeting times are best or meet with groups individually so that they see that you're actively participating in their success as well, that's another phenomenal tool that really brings students and teachers together to interact and engage with each other in a live form, even though they may be on different time zones and separated by, a country apart like you and I are right now. So that's Adobe Connect is a phenomenal tool, and Google Docs also allows you to kind of accomplish the same type of thing. But I love the video aspect and the integration of multimedia that you can put into Adobe Connect. I think is just invaluable. And there's Voki, which you can look into. I'm not that familiar with that. Wikis are also really good. Just give yourself some freedom give yourself the opportunity to really be creative with your students, because they're going to see that. And that kind of creativity and that kind of freedom is what made my experience in the class that I just finished, CEL 560, so phenomenal and such a positive experience, that I felt that my instructor really gave us kind of that freedom to get together on our own, get our ideas together. It really was what collaboration and really fostering an online learning community was all about. So I would say my top 3 things definitely are the discussion forum of your class. Use that as often as you can. Encouraging students to interact with each other and be able to engage, with things that they have in common, and common insights and goals and just concepts into how the work could most effectively be done. Um, Integrating those icebreakers, those getting to know you type of activities throughout your course is huge. Google Docs, again, of course, first time I ever used it and I loved it, and Adobe Connect for sure. So let me know how those things work out for you, and I'm here to help you in any way I can, and I hope you have a really, really successful teaching experience. Thank you, and have a great holiday season.